So understanding that there's different types of Jehovah's Witnesses, this was really an eye-opener for me, because when I first woke up, of course you feel like you're the only one. You must be a bad person because you're doubting the governing body, and what have they ever done bad to you, and that sort of thing. So there's actual little nicknames out there, and I wanted to go through it because I thought that would be very helpful for people to know how to approach Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you think about mentally being in, like really believing everything that the organization is teaching versus mentally out. So for the mentally in, there's two types. There's called PIMI and POMI. And a PIMI is what you probably were thinking of Jehovah's Witnesses when you saw the title of the presentation. They're physically in, they're going to the Kingdom Hall, they're going to meetings, and they're mentally in. They believe everything. They're fully indoctrinated. They're living that JW life. Okay, so I wanted to give a little taste of what it's like for a Jehovah's Witness that's in. They're not aware of these issues out there. They probably might have one or two doubts about something, and what we're told to do is put it up on the shelf, and Jehovah will reveal it later, or put your trust in Jehovah, or wait on Jehovah. That's a very popular one. Wait on Jehovah. For me, I didn't understand why Jehovah's Witnesses didn't celebrate birthdays. They would explain that the only two birthdays in the Bible had bad results, and John the Baptist was beheaded at a birthday. I remember telling my mom, who was not a Jehovah's Witness, why I wasn't celebrating birthdays. She's like, well, I don't plan on doing any beheading. And I want to celebrate your birthday. I was her firstborn, but I really couldn't explain it well. So when I would talk to my friends about it, they said, oh, just put it up on the shelf. So you just do it and you kind of accept it. And I think all Jehovah's Witnesses have one or two things up on the shelf. Some have more until the shelf breaks, like what happened to me. They're going to meetings 2 times a week. There's a midweek meeting, normally on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then a Sunday meeting. Years ago, when I first came in, we had 3 meetings a week. They did change that and said, for the one meeting you're not going, make it a family worship night. So technically, you're still supposed to be 3 days going to the Kingdom Hall, or being in that mode of studying, preparing lessons. We have Watchtower lessons. We have publications that are given that we study. They keep us very, very busy. Then on Saturdays, everyone's kind of expected to go out in the field ministry. That's what you're probably familiar with, the knocking on the doors. And we're normally trying to place literature. We've kind of, I say we, because I still can't get that out of my language. And I did identify as a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years, so that's still going to come out. But we were, in recent times, using our tablets more and giving presentations from our tablet that we could access from the jw.org site. And there's a fantastic app, and it's free to anyone if you want to check it out. If you go to your app store and you type in just JW app, there's a purple one, and it's their Bible and their publications. So if you want to check out some of their publications without going to the website, have it on your tablet, you can do that as well. They also have positions. So for the men, you can become a ministerial servant. So you're like a helper to the elders. You can be an elder, which you kind of help run that local Kingdom Hall. Elders can go on to become circuit overseers. Circuit overseers can go on to become district overseers. Some men will go to Bethel. Those are like in New York, if you're in the United States, and serve at Bethel. And it's kind of like dormitory style, and that's where they help produce the literature. They're doing a lot of videos. There's a whole bunch of things and again, it's all voluntary labor. They do feed you, but I don't think there's a stipend or any payment, or if it is, it's very minimal. Women can go to Bethel as well, but they're given different kind of jobs from what I understand. The women in the organization, they can't give talks from the podium, They can't pray in mixed company. Like I can pray for my kids, but at the Kingdom Hall, women don't pray unless there's no brothers available and you're going out in the field ministry. Then you can. You have to put a head covering on. And then women can become pioneers, which means you're going to do more hours in service, like 70, or you could even do more and be a special pioneer. They do have auxiliary pioneers, which are 50. And so they'll make a big announcement if you become a pioneer. And so really, if you're doing those things or getting any of those titles, people are viewing you as very, very strong spiritually. So there's a big push for that. I was a pioneer the last year as a Jehovah's Witness. My whole 30 years, I felt that I should do more. I should be more consistent at meeting attendance. I should prepare better. I should go out in the ministry more. I should pray more. Should. And it was a lot of stress and a lot of guilt. You always felt guilty, like you just weren't doing enough. And that's how I think a lot of your rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses are feeling. When they go to work, they tend to stay separate from their coworkers. When the kids go to school, they're told, and I said this myself, remember, they're your classmates, not your friends. They can only be your friends if they're friends with Jehovah. So that's that groupthink that we had. If you are suspected of wrongdoing or you see someone doing wrongdoing, you are supposed to report it. And then if the elders get more than one report, more than 2 witnesses, they will form a judicial committee. And if they deem that you're not repentant, then you could be disfellowshipped. And when you're disfellowshipped, and this is the big fear, everyone you know that's a Jehovah's Witness is instructed, once they make that announcement, Lori Jane is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. They are not to speak to you. Even if they're your mother, your sister, your brother, they're not to speak to you. So, and that's gotten stronger over time. When I first came in, it seemed like you could talk to your families. So this is huge to why people don't get out. So let me use that as my segue to move to the PIMO. They're physically in, but they're mentally out. They're awake. They know that things are wrong. The doctrines are wrong. Maybe not everything, but they're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. But they feel they have to because they don't want to have their relationship with their family severed. So some of them have to make the decision to be PIMO for the rest of their life unless all of their family wakes up. And my heart goes out to them so much. So they go to the meetings. They might go out in service and, on Saturday, but their heart's not really in it. And they have to be careful not to say things that will belie what they're really thinking. Then you have, and this is what I was. I was a PIMO where I was still going to the meetings. I woke up in August and I was still going to meetings up until like almost February. And then I stopped going to meetings in February and tried to do what they call it a fade. You try and fade away where, they might start missing you and call you a little bit, but they kind of start leaving you alone and they deem you as weak spiritually. And then officially the elders might consider you inactive. They might try and reactivate you and get you to come back to meetings. But then COVID hit and then they went to Zoom meetings. So that was like a really good time to fade. But so that's a PIMO. Now, if you go to the lower right-hand corner, that is what I am now. I'm physically out, mentally out. I'm no longer going to meetings. I'm completely aware, fully awake. I may or may not be disfellowshipped. So it really depends. If they see my videos, then I will. But I'm not doing anything locally, like, reaching out to all the members and like, do you know that this is a cult? If I did that, I would be disfellowshipped very quickly. So, and then the POMI, this is an odd one. They're not going to meetings, or they're very irregular with meeting attendance, but they're still mentally in. Maybe they got disfellowshipped, but they still believe that it's correct. And they might be even trying to get back in. So as you're interfacing with the Jehovah's Witness, kind of find out what their status is. I remember having a friend who was Catholic. There's like, well, I'm not an active Catholic. I'm like, what's that mean? So in their mind, their family was Catholic, but they weren't really practicing. So it's kind of along those lines. Oh, I had the word for PIMO. They're trapped. And so when you think about those who are awake, but they're kind of stuck in, and even the POMIs who are mentally in, they need a lot of love. They need a lot of acceptance and a lot of scriptures about God's grace and that he loves them just the way they are. And, you know, the forgiveness aspect and all of that. So just keep that in mind. Okay.